Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike Bass back again with another forecast update for you for this August. I'm hoping everybody's having a great Friday out there so far. Everybody has a great Friday afternoon. Hope everybody continues to stay safe and well, and also enjoy the weather because it's the only weather you got. Okay, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the tropics. Also, this is Tropical Storm Franklin, what you're looking at here. Also, we're going to take it in the northwestern Caribbean Sea. Also, well, in the southwestern Caribbean Sea, excuse me. Also, we're going to take a look at some of the computer model guidance in this forecast package. Also, we're going to take a look at the weather radar across the nation, the watches, warning, and advisory map. And also, we're going to take a look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook for today, Saturday, and Sunday, as we have a marginal to slight risk of severe weather across the nation. So stick around to the entire video and do not miss a beat of this forecast. But we're going to talk about Tropical Storm Franklin and Invest 93L and a little details information on it. So like I said, if you're a new viewer and have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and smash that subscribe button today. You're in. You get my forecast twice per day unless something comes up. Also like these videos and also share these videos on social media because it helps the platform push my content out to more and more people. I would greatly appreciate if everybody could smash that like button for me. I'd greatly appreciate it. And we're fixing to go ahead and get the show on the road here, folks. Alright, as you can see here, we're starting off with Tropical Storm Franklin. Tropical Storm Franklin looking kind of a little bit disorganized, but most of the action is over here on the southeast side of the center. The center is currently about right in this vicinity here. Got a little bit blowing up around the center. But pretty much look like wind shear from the west is pushing eastward. It's kind of pushing into the system. But it is still expected to become a Category 2 hurricane with winds of 110 miles at Bermuda. So you guys in Bermuda could get a little bit of squally weather, including some gusty winds, maybe some heavy rainfall, and could even be a tornado or two in portions of the Bermuda. So just want to let you know that as well. Alright, let's take a look at Invest 93L, which will be the big topic coming up early next week. Alright, here is the take a look at the National Hurricane Center cone. Okay, as you can see here, the current position is in the yellow. That's the tropical storm force winds. Like I said, there's the center. Most of the activity is off to the south and east, a little bit to the north. This was at 11 a.m. By 8 p.m. It still remains a tropical storm. 8 a.m. Sunday, that's when it starts to become a hurricane with winds of 75 miles per hour or greater. And then there it goes there. See, Bermuda's here, the center of rotation. If all the activities to the east side of the system, you're going to get impacted by this system. Like I said, the east side of the storm is usually the worst. The west side is calm. So anytime a hurricane comes through, a tropical storm, look out on the northeast quadrant of the storm and also the east side, because that's the worst side of the storm with all the tornadic activity, flooded rains, severe thunderstorm, damaging winds, mainly on the east side, of the east and northeast side of the quadrant of the storm. West side is pretty calm, but I still would not be surprised to see some rip current risk still for the Carolinas all the way to Maine region. Also over toward New York State, also over toward the Connecticut, Rhode Island area. You could get in on some high action waves as the system pulls by your location, but well offshore in the tropical Atlantic. Alright, if you're tracking this system at home, the current location is located near latitude 21.8 north, longitude 67.8 west. Maximum sustained winds has dropped down to 50 miles per hour. You remember yesterday it was 60. Today is at 50 miles per hour. And the movement is to the east-southeast at about 5 miles per hour. It's dropping that way, and then it's going to continue to move off to the east, then back to the northeast, then back to the northwest, and then it eventually back off to the northeast, and then out into the Atlantic waters. All right. Take a look at that's what they forecast the cone by with these hurricane models. As you can see, that's pretty well what they got. And like I said, it's heading on up towards St. John's Island. You may get some impacts off this tropical storm and hurricane, as well as it kind of brushes your area as it moves on off to the north and east. How about that's the current position of the storm, and this way parallel to the United States, and then parallel to the northeastern United States, and then parallel to southeast Canada, and like I said, south and parallel right by St. John's Islands in that region. All right, now here's the intensity guidance. Excuse me. All right, there it is right now. Currently with winds of 40 to 5 knots. We go 50 miles per hour winds. Some of the computer models shoot that thing way up to a category 4. Like I said, like I've been talking about in my past videos, I cannot rule out a category 3 hurricane, as well as it continues to push on off in past Bermuda. As the water there is kind of warm, I would not be surprised to see it move up into a category 3 hurricane, which is 110 miles per hour and greater. That'd be 111, all the way up to about 125 miles per hour, I think, is a category 3 hurricane. So I would not be surprised it reached category 3 like some of the models are showing. Some of them keep, most of them, and then about 132 hours out, it drops it back down to a tropical storm as it moves over colder water up near the northern tropical Atlantic. All right, so that was the information on Tropical Storm Franklin. Let's take a look at the Invest 93L. This is currently the satellite imagery of 93L. As you can see, it's starting to slowly get its act together. Looks like it's going to meander around down in the northwestern Caribbean. Well, I thought it was southwestern, excuse me, but it's the northwestern. Like I said earlier, it's the northwestern Caribbean Sea. It's about to move into portions of the Gulf of Mexico. But it's going to hang around down there around the Yucatan Peninsula, around the northeastern portion of the Yucatan Peninsula. Also over toward western Cuba and central Cuba, you should get some heavier precipitation out of this system as it continues to slowly get its act together. All right, we don't have no hurricane models to look at with this system, so we're going to have to use for this system. So, and then we'll look, we still got the intensity guided. This is the GE of the system. Right now, we're going to look at pretty much just the GEPS ensembles. Currently, that's the center of the storm. Brings it over the portion of the Yucatan Peninsula. Also, moves it into the south, into the northeastern Gulf of Mexico, across northern Florida, right up the Carolina coast, and then right on off into the Mid-Atlantic region. A couple models want to bring it a little further westward. I looked at the American model, the GFS model. It made a landfall somewhere earlier. When I looked at it, took it about right here, moved it through central Georgia, and then up in the upstate South Carolina. Brought a lot of heavy precipitation from Georgia through South Carolina up in the portion of North Carolina. Looked at the Canadian model. It brought it in about the same area here around the Big Bend area of Florida. Moved it up through central and southeast Georgia, across southern South Carolina, and then kind of moved it back out like this. The European has not updated yet. I figured a new run, maybe push it back a little further to the west as well. This here GPS ensemble is kind of going along with the European. This is about the European track here, what I've seen on the European model. So if the models happen to shift it further back to the west, look out in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. You may be in the northeastern quadrant of the storm, so you will get a lot of rainfall, some tornadic activity, and also some gusty winds. Depends on how strong the system gets. Alright, well, I'm just going to give you a heads up on that as well. Alright, let's take a look at the intensity guidance. Currently it do show it at about 20 knot winds, so that probably equals up about 25 miles per hour wind gust. Some of the models do take it into a tropical storm in the next 24 to 36 hours and 48 hours out. Some of them even takes it up to about 96 to 132 hours out to a Category 1 hurricane. I cannot rule that out. It's possibility it could become a hurricane. It's still looking likely it may become a hurricane as well. The next name on the storm will be Adelia. That'll be the next name. That's the ice storm. You know what the ice storm usually does? A lot of them ice storm, they'll ramp up just like that, become a Category 4 or 5, but I don't know if that one will. But we're just gonna have to wait and see if that occurs. All right, let's move on to some computer model runs. From this side. Okay, here it is. Alright, as you can see here, we got several low pressure systems in the tropical Atlantic. We got one sitting over the Carolinas here. We got one that's the remnants of Emily. This is 92L. I think this is the remnants of Gert. This is these two here, this new tropical low pressure system. This is Franklin. This is that system in the let's see, Caribbean, in the Caribbean Sea that we're going to be watching. We're going to slowly work our way through it. I think it's got to update first. So let me update this thing first, and then we're going to then we'll stop it, and then we'll go walk you through it real quick. All right, let's go back to the first one. Let's go back to the very first one. All right, well, we'll stop it off. We'll start off right here at let's see, 30 hours out. 30 hours. See the system getting organized. There's Franklin still. There's another little tropical wave they need to watch. See, there's another one coming off the African coast. There's the 92L. There's remnants of Emily. We're gonna go. Let's go out to 60 hours. All right. See, according to this, by Monday, it's still located in the Yucatan Peninsula. By this forecast chart, still showing Franklin still well east of the Bermuda. I mean the Bahamas. There's that 92L still kind of just meandering there. Emily done kind of took off. She done left. There's another little wave there behind that one. Let's go out to 72 hours out. According to these computer models here, it's still showing by Monday at 72 hours out. It's still located over the Yucatan Peninsula. Also, there's Franklin still slowly starting to move. 92L is starting to slowly move as well. Let's move on a little bit further. Now we're getting some progress. Now Tuesday, it starts to move into the Gulf of Mexico, the low pressure system. Some still wants to just keep it hanging around over the Yucatan Peninsula, but a few of them wants to make it up into portions of the southeastern Gulf of Mexico by Tuesday. There goes Franklin. Franklin's almost west of Bermuda. There's a low pressure system there, but most of them keeps it to the west. There goes 92L continuing. All right, now as we go into, let's go into Wednesday morning at 00Z. This is the location of the storm here, located in the almost the northeastern Gulf of Mexico. Most of the model takes it over Florida. There's a few. Some of the models now starting to kind of want to go west, like the GFS, the Canadian, and also well, I looked at the Icon model too, and it just brought moisture to Florida, but it didn't go no further than that. But anyway, let's take a look at some of the model runs. Okay, this is by Thursday, 144 hours out. Most of the model takes across Florida. This is where it's supposed to be located. Still takes it through central and eastern South Carolina. Franklin way up here by next Thursday. He's way up here in the northern tropical Atlantic. There's that little 92L still meandering. Another area of low pressure that the National Hurricane Center will probably mark in later forecast. Coming off the African coast, probably be sometime next week. Let's continue to go on out a little bit further. This is September the 1st. It's 168 hours out. See, they got some members of the low pressure system, like I said, tracking through South Carolina, but most of them takes it offshore. And as we head on out to next Saturday, see some of the models take it, but most of them do take it offshore in the coastal water, like the European. But like I said, but most of the models, some of the models now, like the GFS and the Canadian, want to bring it inland now around the Big Bend area of Florida to South Carolina. We're going to have to keep an eye on that if that trend continues to shift back further to the west. South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia, Florida, you will be in the tornadic thunderstorm activity area, heavy rainfall, and also some gusty winds as well as them squalls move through. Alright, we continue to move on out to, I'm going to go ahead and knock it out to the last frame. Alright, there's that other tropical wave moving off the African coast, starting to move. Some wants to move it this way, some wants to turn it off to the northeast. There's some more systems. That's 92L, moved it up here. Franklin from there, moved it up there. There's that, will be Adelia. Come across the Atlantic, kind of dissipates it later on down the road. So, like I say, we're just going to have to keep an eye on that and see what happens. Alright, let's move on to the weather radar now. That's your tropical update. I just want to give you a quick tropical update at the beginning. Now we're going to get into our local forecast. Alright, as you can see here, we got showers and storms extending from portions of Canada through Maine, all the way down through New York City, off into the coastal waters. Some scattered activity also back into New York State as well. Scattered activity, showers and storms also in portions of Virginia, down in the portions of Kentucky, moving into North Carolina. Some of this activity could move into portions of northern South Carolina later on this afternoon and evening. As I cannot totally rule out a shower or storm, mainly north of Columbia, into portions of North Carolina. Would not be surprised to see that as well, like what happened last night. That some of that activity could move south into our region. All right. Also, we got some showers also down in the Gulf of Mexico, also down across Mexico's state as well, and also down toward the Florida Keys. Some activity over here in the portion of Arizona, also into Colorado. Widespread showers and storms in portions of northern Colorado, into Kansas, also into Wyoming, also South Dakota. Scattered activity in Iowa, and also into Wisconsin. A little bit up here around northern Michigan, also into Minnesota. More widespread showers and storms over in Washington State, back in Idaho and Oregon as well, and also in the portion of Nevada as well. Excuse me. Alright, let's move on to the watches, warning, and advisory map for your location across the nation. As you can see, we still got a little area there of red flag warnings in portion of Washington State. Air quality alert for portion of Oregon. Also down sets of heat watches in effect for Southern California and Arizona. Flood watches in effect for portions of Nebraska, Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, and portions of New Mexico. Got a flood advisory for you guys there in New Mexico, and also in the portions of Colorado, Kansas, and Wyoming. Nebraska and Kansas, Wyoming. Also, flood warning, a flash flood warning in effect for one county there in portions of Nebraska. Alright, if you're in the orange area, this is a heat advisory. This is extended from upstate South Carolina through Georgia, also into Alabama, the Panhandle, Florida, southern portions of Louisiana, southern Texas. Also got a special weather statement there for southern Texas as well. Central Texas, also into portions of Oklahoma and portions of Arkansas. That's a heat advisory. Excessive heat warning still in effect for portions of Iowa, also into portions of Nebraska, much of Kansas, portions of Oklahoma, much of Texas, much of Louisiana, much of Arkansas, all of Louisiana, portions of Alabama, portions of Kentucky, Tennessee, and also up into Indiana, portions of Illinois as well. Got some red flag warnings down here for portions of Alabama, Mississippi into Louisiana and southeast Texas for some fire weather issues. Also, we got special weather statements and also flood watches in effect and also some storm warnings in effect for portions of Alaska. South side of Hawaii Chain Island got some gale warnings there. North side looks a-okay. Alright, now we're going to move on to trying to get this here to come up. The Storm Prediction Center. Alright, here we go. We got it. Alright, Storm Prediction Center for today, across South Texas, also Central Texas, all the way back to New Mexico, Arizona, all the way back into Idaho, and also into Washington, Oregon State, also into Montana. Marginal risk up here in portions of Michigan, also northern Wisconsin, also marginal risk extended from you guys in Colorado all the way over to North Carolina, also over toward the Washington, D.C. area. Slight risk over Illinois and Indiana. Alright, if you live in Springfield, Illinois, Peoria, Illinois, Decatur, Illinois, Champaign, Illinois, Bloomington, Indiana, slight risk for severe weather this afternoon. If you live in Indianapolis, Indiana, Baltimore, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Kansas City, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, marginal risk for severe weather this afternoon. Tornado probability, less than 2% all areas. Winds, that'll be 5% in the brown, 15 in the yellow. This includes the same area from Springfield, Illinois, all the way to Bloomington, Indiana, including Champaign, Illinois, Decatur, Illinois, and Peoria, Illinois. Also, if you live in Indianapolis, Indiana, Baltimore, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Kansas City, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, 5% risk for damage and wind. The hail probability is 5% in the brown. This includes Springfield, Illinois, Peoria, Illinois, Pueblo, Colorado, Duluth, Minnesota, Decatur, Illinois. That's 5% risk for large hail. Alright, let's move on to day number 2. This will be your Saturday forecast. Alright, we got general thunderstorm from Maine all the way down to New York State, then from Washington, D.C. down to the Florida Keys, the Florida area, Panhandle, Florida, back to Texas, Arizona, back to Wyoming, also back into over here to North Dakota, back into Montana. We have a marginal risk extended from Missouri through portions of Oklahoma, also into Arkansas, into the Carolinas for severe weather. Let's take a look at the tornado probability. No areas at risk area. Let's take a look at the wind probability, 5%. This includes Memphis, Tennessee, Charlotte, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma, and Winston-Salem, North Carolina for damage and wind. Let's take a look at the hail probability, less than 5% all area. Category areas, they ain't got it in there not yet, but that were the areas I called out earlier in the marginal risk area. Alright, let's move on to your Sunday forecast from the Storm Prediction Center, and then we're going to wrap up this video. Alright, we got general thunderstorms up here in portions of Minnesota and the Dakotas, also back over in portions of Montana, back to Washington State, to Oregon, all the way down to down through New Mexico, Arizona, also to Texas, all the way to the Florida Keys, to the Florida Panhandle, also up into the Carolinas, also into ports of Pennsylvania, and also in the Washington, D.C. area. We have a marginal risk down here across Georgia and the Carolinas. And if you live in Charlotte, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, that's a marginal risk for severe weather. The probability for severe weather is 5%. Same area, Charlotte, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. 5% risk for severe weather on your Sunday. Monday outlook has not come out yet. Let's take a look at day 4 to make sure. Friday afternoon. Stay safe and well. And also enjoy the weather because it's the only weather you got. Like these videos, share these videos, consider subscribing. And where it did come up, as you can see, it's going through the days. Potential too low, predictability too low, same potential too low all the way through day 8. But anyway, hope everybody has a great afternoon. Continue to stay safe and well. And we'll catch you back in the next video. So take care, everyone, and we'll catch you back in the next.